Hey, what's up? It's Comic95, the Savior, and this will be a Ren's Japanese journal. Let me move my computer a little closer so you can hear me better. But yeah, if you're new to my channel, quickly explain. I talk to you about my personal life here in Japan. If you've never watched the journal, please go back and look at my other videos. This is not a sensitive snowflake, politically correct place. If you're a hardcore weeboo, you're not going to watch this content because I will be complaining and whining and crying and being angry about life. So, anyway, back on subject. I don't know how long I'm going to make this video. I'm going to try to keep it under 30 minutes, but I just found it interesting, and I've said this before, I know, but that Japanese people cannot comprehend that you can want to live in Japan and not love everything about this country. And it's funny because people get that about America, but when it comes to Japan, it's like it's unfathomable. If you want to live here, you have to love everything. Not to mention that they like pat themselves on the back by telling you what they think you like about Japan. And it's like, well, there's more to your country than these stereotypical things. Not to mention, not everybody likes those things, and I don't like all of those things. Like, for example, if you're in Japan, you just have to like Japanese food. You have to like anime. You have to like video games. And it's also funny too because some of these things they didn't even invent. They get a lot of credit for it because, being honest, I wouldn't just say they've contributed the most, but they've had the most memorable contributions, I will say. The Japanese did not invent video games. It's surprising, but they did not. Now, granted, I think they did invent the CD-ROM. I know they invented the VHS tape. But they didn't invent video games. But people treat them like they did. They didn't invent cosplay. It's literally a katakana word. Actually, video games are too, which proves that too. They're borrowed words. That is proof within itself. And every time that I tell them that, they're like, that's true. Or they get a little bit frustrated. And they're like, oh, but you're cosplaying as a Japanese kid. Nope, not Japanese. That's not a Japanese company that made that game. Sorry to break. It's like, why do they have this egotist? And it's so funny because, like, as an American, we're accused of being the conceited ones. We're accused of having a mindset that everybody just loves them. But it's true. It's true. Look, the angriest people towards America come from crappy countries. I ain't gonna say y'all country's name. In various places in Asia, the Caribbean, and Middle East, and Africa. But guess what? Y'all hate, the U.S. so much, but apparently you hate your country even more because all it took was a couple of dollars to get your ass to become a U.S. citizen. I'm just saying, your country's so great. Stay over there then, bitch. So, y'all know what countries I'm thinking of too, but I ain't gonna say it. So, it blows our mind. But here was my thing. We let them say that. Most of us, we'll sit there and agree, like, yeah, America does suck. Yeah, racism is horrible. But it's like, okay, if our country's so bad, stay where you are, right? Okay, makes sense. But here goes my problem. You can do that when it comes to America. You can talk whatever the fuck you want to. Talk your shit. But when it comes to Japan, God forbid you don't like Japanese food. And I'm going to keep it real. They don't like Japanese food themselves. Ask a Japanese person what their favorite food is. And I promise you, either 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 people are going to name something that's heavily Western inspired. People's favorite foods here are normally not their own. It's normally something that's fried and meat-based. In fact, the only thing they get a little bit of a pass for is Korean barbecue. But I'm gonna keep it real. Korean barbecue ain't even really barbecue. Like, to me, it's so not a special food that I feel like it's unfair to even give it that label. There are some dishes on the Korean barbecue menu that I will give it its uniqueness. For example, like the little rice bowl thing that I love so much, but like the green onion and the egg that's made specifically. I forgot what it's called. It's not called yakiniku rice. It's something niku. I can't remember what the name of the rice is, but love that shit. It's delicious. I'll give them credit for that. But like the actual meat, they're literally serving you raw meat that you cook yourself with no seasoning, and then you can just add lemon juice or the yakiniku sauce. Like, that's not really food. Like, it's plain. It's almost like sushi, but minus the sushi rice. If you're just gonna fish out of the water and then claim that this is your invention, well, bitch, I can get salmon in the U.S. too, and I don't have to cook it. Like, the fuck? But what makes sushi different is they add little vegetables and roll it up, which that's not the more traditional way to eat sushi. Really, more so, is it called sashimi? I forgot what they call it, the sushi where it's like the fish pieces on top. That's the more common way that sushi is served here in Japan. And I didn't know that till I came here. I forgot the word for it. See, look, I live here in Japan. I don't even be knowing this shit. I'd be forgetting stuff. But anyway, long story short, yes, like, it's not really a unique dish. But fine, granted, we'll give Korea that. That's pretty much the only Asian food, unless you're going to add ramen into that, which that's also Chinese and not their own. But granted, they took their experiments with it, just like how Americans took pizza from Italy, and we made it better than y'all. But shh, I can't say that out loud. Sorry, Italians, y'all gonna rip my ass. But I said it. I said what the fuck I said. So look, don't lie to yourself. Y'all can say what the fuck y'all want to about American cheese. You're a lying ass Italian if you come over to the U.S. and you try not even deep dish. Cause see, I don't even like deep dish. I was a child the last time I had it. So I don't know, maybe my taste buds have changed now that I'm older. But I prefer, like, thin crust pizza myself. So I think that a lot of people think that Chicagoans just run around eating pizza cake, and we don't. Real Chicagoans don't eat that shit. But I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been there in a long time. I'm gonna eat that shit, because maybe I do like it now. I have no idea. I'm older, taste buds change. I hated broccoli my whole life. Came here to Japan, I love that shit now. So anyway, back on subject. Yeah, it's like their brains cannot comprehend. What do you mean you don't love everything about our country? Just like how you don't love everything about mine. Not to mention, they know they don't like everything about my country, but it doesn't stop them from going to Hawaii. It doesn't stop them from going to Los Angeles and San Francisco and New York. Okay, they'll even live there. They'll live there knowing that they have no intention of becoming a U.S. citizen ever. But it's interesting because it's like, okay, you do it in my country, but then if I do it in your country, you're shocked. Not to mention, actually, I should be the one shocked. My country is much bigger than yours. There's more freedom than yours has. There's more places to shop, more places to, go on vacation domestically, more places, to just eat at, to do everything. Everything, shoot, even drinking. The average Japanese person is a walking alcoholic that has not been diagnosed. And with that said, why the fuck would I want to live here as an American? This is playing life on, doing the extra side quests. I ain't trying to shit on you if you're from a poor country, but I just gotta keep it real. You can't relate. This is all you've ever known is shit. And so you coming to Japan is wonderful and full of opportunity. I saw a post of somebody saying that, the salary in the Philippines is so bad that I'm picking on the Philippines because I've picked on black people enough, okay? I'm always talking about Jamaica and, Nigeria and South Africa. So we're going to get on other countries, okay? But just know, I'm talking about y'all too. So, it's like, somebody was saying that if you just make $10 a day, you're practically rich then. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But from what I've seen on 90 Day Fiancé, it's probably more like $5 a month. I mean, not a month, a day. But anyway, back on subject. It's like, if you come from somewhere like that, and then you come to Japan, where they're getting paid like $2,000 USD per month, hell yeah, you're gonna like everything here. You're gonna worship the country. You're gonna think it's so wonderful and so... Look, America's not safer than Japan overall. I'm not gonna lie to myself. But we're not living in a fucking war zone. If you're the average American, you don't live in no damn war zone. Also, the average American has never heard and never seen anybody shoot a gun at anyone. Contrary to what you see on the news. That's not real life. I'm from Chicago, okay? I'm telling you from personal experience. In fact, if I were to think about it, the exception of like New Year's Eve and my own ghetto ass family, I probably can't. I mean, you hear gunshots. Like, I was living on the south side, right? Like, that's a bad neighborhood. One of the worst neighborhoods, okay? Like, in Chicago. But I'm the exception to the rule. Most of you will not be living anywhere near there. And with that said, you won't have such experiences. Not that bad experiences don't happen outside of bad neighborhoods, but they're significantly more rare. That's my point. With that said, I don't even feel inclined to stay in Japan for safety reasons per se. Like, don't get me wrong, I feel a little scared after listening to all the stuff about in the US, and I do think the US may have changed since I was last there. I'm not gonna lie to myself. But at the same time, I don't feel incentive to decide my country's so dangerous, I'd rather have a crappier life, horrible mental health, and make way less money in Japan. But I get why you feel that way, because for you are literally escaping death in your country. I just can't relate. Now, it's not to make you feel bad and boost myself up, but I'm just explaining that your love for this country is going to be very different from mine. This is just travel for me. Very similar to how Japanese people feel. They don't like being pushed outside their comfort zone. They've been trained and taught to be robots. They don't think for themselves. They have too much of a group mindset. And therefore, them going to somewhere like the US, unless you're just a weird Japanese person, you're not going to like it there. Because everything is about individuality. People are more expressive and loud and open and honest, and that can make you feel very uncomfortable as a Japanese person. Something that I saw that was very interesting, I saw a Japanese person explain how they don't like that foreigners try to force you to give your thoughts and opinion, and that sometimes you don't want to share how your day was. And actually, that helped me dating wise, because I never thought of that. Like, my mindset was, oh, you poor suffering Japanese guy who doesn't get a chance to vent his feelings. And then after seeing it from that perspective, I was like, you know what? Maybe that does make them feel uncomfortable, because if you've been trained to not do this, and now somebody's trying to play counselor, like, oh, tell me how your day was, how you're feeling. No, tell me. I can't personally understand it, because that still makes no sense to me. But clearly, they do feel differently towards this. And so for me as an American, my mindset is, you need to be saved. But the Japanese mindset is, bitch, I don't want to be saved. I don't want to tell my business. I don't want to tell you how my day was. I don't care that we're married. I don't care that, you're my girlfriend. Like, I don't want to share what the fuck happened to me that made me have a bad day. Now, to me, that makes no fucking sense as an American. If you're having a bad day and you have a wife, you have a girlfriend, you have friends and family that want to listen to you, why would you not tell them? That makes no sense. You need to be able to vent. And to be honest, while I can respect their wishes, it's still the wrong way to go about it. It's been proven that you need to be able to vent. You need to have an outlet. And that's the reason why counselors even exist. That's why y'all suicide rate is so high. And so again, it's like, I have a balanced approach to it. I disagree, but I respect their perspective. And because I learned that some of them do feel that way, I have laid back a little bit, even with my own husband, because I never thought of it like that. So, anyway, excuse my voice, hoarse, air conditioning's on. I have a very long and busy day. But, yeah, it's like, it's interesting. But anyway, my point is this. If you're allowed to come to America and you can still dislike American food, I can come to Japan and dislike Japanese food. And again, like I said, when you ask them what their favorite food is, they're going to list off greasy fried shit, which is very funny because they act like their food is so healthy, but when you see what they actually eat, they like karage, they like tempura, they like curry, they like katsudon, they like tonkatsu, like they like everything fat, breaded, and greasy. And if you say, oh, that's not true, look at the most popular restaurants in Japan, the places that have lines out the door. They're not lining up for those healthy meals. They're not lining up for miso soup and tofu. They're not lining up for these, low-calorie sushi meals. No. The places that require the reservations and have lines are meat-based, fried, red meat, normally too. Or if it's white meat, it's going to be chicken, which is still very high in calories. Once you fry it and grease it and salt it up, etc., and put sauces all over it. Yakitori, same thing. Alcohol is not good for you, and they binge drink on empty stomachs. I mean, think about it. Most people here are borderline underweight, or at the very least, normal weight. Which, fine, that's good. You should be normal weight. But being normal weight, or close to, or at an underweight, weight, and drinking heavily, look. They claim it's a genetic thing. I don't think it got shit to do with genetics. Y'all keep getting stomach, cancer and shit because y'all drink heavily and you all surrounded by cigarette smoke all day long, and many of them smoke. Like a fucking chimney, as the old people would say. I don't think it's a genetic thing. Just like with black people. People try to say, oh, black people getting this, it's because of genetics. I don't believe that either. I'm throwing this in there so people don't think I'm just picking on Asians. Hear me out. No. You get diabetes as a black person because you don't take care of your health. Many of us use all these excuses. I have PCOS. I have diabetes. Right, and you have these things because of how you're taking care of your health. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that you could be skinny and still get PCOS. I'm not stupid. But let's keep it real. Most people that have it, just like diabetes, most people that have it, they were not born with it. There's two different types, I know. They were not born with it. They developed it later on in life. And the reason why they developed it later on in life is due to poor eating habits. Not exercising enough, getting too much sugar, too much salt in your diet, That's where these things like high blood pressure, diabetes, etc. comes from. Being overweight. Choices that you made. You choosing to not push away from the table, not putting down the fork, drinking your calories, not exercising, making up all the excuses in the world for why you can and don't want to. And look, I understand. Look at my fat ass. I understand. Granted, I don't have these issues, but I'm just explaining. I get it. I'm in the process of losing weight right now. But I'm just saying, it's not a genetic thing. It's just more commonly done in our community. Our community is accepting towards overeating. If you look, I saw a meme talking about this on Facebook. If you look at how we put together our plates on holidays, a Japanese person would have a heart attack if they saw that. We will literally fill a paper plate, ribs, mac and cheese, greens, everything. And we will come back for seconds and thirds, and that's not including the dessert or the drinks. We will eat 10,000 calories plus in a single day on holidays. Okay? And we flavor the fuck out of our food. It tastes good, but it's not healthy. And so, like I said, I'll give white people, I'll give a little pushback. Look, I want my food to taste good. And I'm willing to risk those extra, that extra salt, that extra sugar, potentially giving me something which may be stupid, but just being honest. However, I'm not stupid though. I realize the problem is not our genetics, it's how we're eating. It's how we're not exercising. Black people are less likely to have a gym membership. We're less likely to be running and jogging around the neighborhood. Shut the fuck up for the black people. That's you, I do. Shut up. You are not everyone. Sorry to break it to you. But it's like a white person being like, well, I season my food. Ma'am, let me open up your eyes. You season your food. Have you eaten your family member's food? Okay. Shh. So anyway, yes, we understand that it's okay to dislike things about America. But Japanese people can't comprehend that. And it's also funny too because they don't like their own food. When you ask them what they like, sure, it's Japanese food, but really most of their food comes from other countries. Their whole, I think tempura is actually from Brazil, some shit, the whole breadcrumb thing. I don't fully understand all of the stuff. I'm not going to pretend like I do. But long story short, they like the greasy, fat, high calorie stuff. But when they try to tell you about their food, they pretend like their diet consists of miso soup and these little tiny bowls of rice, which FYI, rice is not healthy for you at all. And they've convinced themselves that it tastes good because this country has trouble growing most of its food. And rice is one of the few things that Japan can produce itself. It's cheap, it's low cost, it's easy to make, and it doesn't require immediate refrigeration. It can be reheated. Basically, it's poor man's food, but unlike in the US, they've made it a staple in their diet. The US equivalent will be, I guess the closest thing I can say is like Spam or regular top ramen, where you pretend like that tastes good and you have it as a side dish for all of your meals because basically it's affordable and easy to produce. Like I would say regular white bread in America, but we don't eat bread for every meal, so I can't even compare it to that. So anyway, their feelings are going to be hurt and they've convinced themselves that they love it, but nope. I know firsthand from being a teacher, the way that they get kids to even eat rice, they hook them on it by putting furikake on it, which furikake is literally sugar, salt, and dried up pieces of vegetables and fish. It tastes good. If you put furikake on rice, you will suddenly like it. Even if you don't like rice, it will make you like it. Very similar if you have Chinese fried rice. I don't normally like regular rice. You put some chicken and shrimp inside that bitch. I love rice. Just like, beef and broccoli. I used to hate broccoli. Put that beef and that beef sauce on it, suddenly I like broccoli. So it's the same situation. Not to mention that a lot of them, they don't eat the rice plain as is. They put meat or fish on top of it. And so the juice and the seasonings and the oil from that meat seeps into the rice, thus making it more edible. I worked as a teacher, and I cannot tell you how many times when I was here in Japan, we had kids crying because they had to finish their food before they could play outside. Or kids that didn't want to eat all of their rice, didn't like it, and especially if there was no furikake packets, they had no interest in it. Now granted, you get older and you get used to eating it, and plus you realize that while it might not be low in calories per se, it is typically lower in calories than any meat or junk food you would have eaten, and it does make you feel full. So many of them eat it for that reason. Again, it saves money because it's cheap. It's easy to find, easy to store. You can make large quantities of it with ease, especially now with the rice cooker. The list just goes on. But long story short, it's y'all don't really like your own food. Y'all are not lining up for, granted, if it's some super fancy bougie shop with this renowned sushi chef, sure, they'll make reservations for that. But generally speaking, sushi is like burgers in the US. Like, people go, or more like Denny's, I would say, like going to like a pancake house or some shit like that. People go there because it's a family restaurant, cheap and easy to order for everyone. There's something for everybody on the menu. It's not worship like how it is in the US, where sushi is like this bougie, rich people food. Most people also do not make reservations for sushi restaurants. The places that people really want to reserve are going to be the meat places, and typically steak. And get this, American steak restaurants at that. So it's like, y'all don't even prefer your own food. Unless you're broke, they don't eat their own food. People don't eat ramen and curry, etc., unless they're a salary man that doesn't have a wife that, makes them a lunch. They're going through a horrible relationship. You're like, that's what I was saying before too, but myself, like, when I realized, I was like, look, I'm making my man a lunch every day. When these bitches think they got a chance with my man, like, oh, you don't have a lunch? Why don't you go out with me? And look, granted, I'm not keeping my man from doing, like, he can go and eat whatever the fuck he wants to. And he does sometimes go out for lunch. But I'm just explaining, like, I recognize that, yeah, people don't actually eat the stereotypical Japanese. When they're single, sure, because most Japanese men don't know how to cook. But when it comes to being in a relationship or married, they don't need that shit. They won't even go on a date to those places. They know those are not date places to go to. When you go to those places, that's the reason why you normally see men by themselves. And every once in a while you see the one stray woman that's there, or you might see a family there. But people don't go to places like that for a date. It's inappropriate. Can you do it? Sure. But it's not appropriate. I said this before. My husband, he took a nurse to a fucking beef bowl restaurant. So they do it, but I'm just saying that it's not a common thing to be done. So, yeah, it's like, I don't have to like everything about Japan to like living here. And also, while I do like Japanese food, I don't like it more than my country's food. I don't. Like, maybe you all might make your own food better than America does, which I don't know. I'll have to try that after going to the US again and seeing what it tastes like, because I learned about a lot of new restaurants I didn't know existed in Chicago. I had only been to one Japanese restaurant in New York, and I loved it, being honest. But from what I read, it's actually a shitty restaurant. And I'm not gonna lie, after coming to Japan, that ramen was not good. It was good in comparison to what I had in the US, but it's not here in Japan. In fact, I feel so embarrassed looking back. I was just thinking to myself, when I got the ramen, I was confused when I saw that like ladle spoon inside there. I was like, I asked the waiter, I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, am I supposed to drink from it? And so he was like, yeah, like, you can eat from it. So he kind of laughed it off. They were getting ready to close, and I felt really bad. So I gave him a big tip at the end, too. I tipped him almost the same cost of my bill. And so, he was probably, really shocked, because he wasn't being mean to me. But, they were getting ready to close. But I'm like, y'all got like a whole like hour before y'all close, and I'm the only person here. And unfortunately, the place did close down. It was Nana Sushi. That was the place that I went to, but they no longer exist. In fact, let me search that. I think they're still out of business, which hurt me, because I also went to the New York Budget Inn, and that was my first and favorite hostel that I had been to, because I went to another hostel and it was not good. But let me see, you guys. 1 second. Okay, yeah, they're closed, sadly. I see another place called Nana Sushi, and it says they're open. So I don't know if they reopened or what. And technically they're not a full Japanese restaurant, because they serve Thai food as well. So, yep. I thought that it was good for what it was worth in the US, but that was before I'd ever been to Japan and tried authentic Japanese food. So, again, don't get me wrong, I like food here, but if I'm going to compare it to my country, no, sorry, but you all have less to choose from. And while the prices are lower, and I won't lie, for the price that you pay in Japan, you do get more food for considering the cheapness of it, okay? Like, for example, I'm not going to be able to go out to eat in the US and pay no damn $7 or $8 and get a full set meal. I will agree with that. But I will say, if we're going to compare it to sit-down restaurants, if I'm paying for the same price meal, I'm going to get way more food on my plate, though. So, for example, if I go to Japan and I go to a pancake house, if I pay $20, 2,000 yen for some food, I'm going to get half of what I would get in the U.S. Now, you could argue, oh, the portions are... Shut the fuck up. See, I've been brainwashed. That's another video I want to make. I don't care if the portions are too big. It's still a better deal in the US, whether you like it or not. We're not talking about health and portions. And last time I checked, people don't go out to eat to be on a diet. People go out to eat for the experience and good food. So that's a bullshit excuse. You're being scammed. I'll make another video about that, because I saw somebody make a post about this and people were trying to tell them, oh, well, it's unhealthy to have big portions. they're scamming you. and you're just spreading their propaganda to justify it. It's no different than people trying to pretend like them raising prices on tourists is an okay thing, and like, oh, we should be happy to pay more because we're supporting Japan. No, you're not. You're lining the pockets of these wealthy, rich-ass restaurant owners. That's what you're doing. They're not passing down the wealth to the rest of Japan. They're not even going to pay their employees more. They're going to give them more work to do, require them to have a higher level of English understanding. They're going to have them make menus, if even that, because lots of them places aren't going to do that. They're just taking advantage of the fact they can charge you more and you're dumb enough to pay for it. They are not going to hire English speaking staff. They are not going to give you a new menu. They're not going to give you fancy, nice seats. They're not even going to be more attentive towards you as a customer. They're literally using this as an excuse to charge you more, and your dumbass is falling for it. How the fuck does you paying a restaurant $20 to $30 more than the Japanese customers help the restaurant out? You're helping the restaurant out by keeping them in business because you're going there to eat when you have other options. You're eating somewhere that Japanese people don't even eat at. When they're looking for a good restaurant, smart Japanese people do not look anywhere near a train station because the best restaurants are not anywhere near a train station. Sorry to break it to you. Those places are for salarymen and for broke college students and F-boys. Good restaurants are seldom, rarely inside a train station. Seldom, rarely right outside of them. Miss me with that bullshit. Charging double the price for mediocrity. Anyway, I'm not going to get on that. I'm almost at 30-minute mark. So all I want to say is this. I can like Japan and not love everything about it. I don't like the way you all treat foreigners. I don't like the way that your mindset is where you all are stubborn and think that your way is right and everything else is wrong. I don't like the fact that you all think that people that disagree with you just don't understand Japanese culture instead of, no, we do understand it and your culture is wrong. Also, it's a fallacy to have the mindset that because this is tradition, it is correct. That is not true. There are traditional things that are wrong, such as racism. But there are also things that are old that can be right and a preferred way to go about things. But their brains can't comprehend that. They've been taught, if this is the rule, we follow it blindly even if it makes no sense. Like, think about it. They remove their shoes before walking in their house, but they don't wash their hands after going to the bathroom. So you go through all of that trouble to make sure your floors are clean, even although you all don't normally sit on your floors anyway. They don't normally put their hands on their floor anyway. So even if it is dirty and full of germs, it's not going to affect them. However, you do constantly put your hands in contact with your mouth. You cook food, you touch handles, and because you're not washing your hands throughout the day, you are putting fecal matter, urine, cum, phlegm from out of your fucking throat from when you coughed, droplets, all type of stuff. They're smearing over all surfaces, not just in their house, but all over the country every single day. Because you're not washing your hands, you are actually causing more germs and contamination than wearing your shoes ever will. And that should be another video within itself, and I probably will make a video on that topic. So they do shit that makes no sense. Yes, I agree, shoes should be taken off, but how about we also start first with washing our hands and having hot water in bathrooms? But see, they won't challenge that because they don't have hot water in bathrooms by default. I'm not talking about inside your house, but even at home, most of them don't wait for the water to get hot. In most Japanese houses, your water does not instantly turn hot. You have to wait a second for the water to get hot. And with that said, it's like, okay, considering that, most of you don't even wash your hands even with the water there. Most of them don't use soap when they wash their hands. And when they do wash their hands, 2 seconds, done. They don't thoroughly clean them, no matter how dirty of a task they did. And with that said, it's like, okay, isn't it kind of hypocritical? You all bother to make sure the floor is clean by not wearing shoes, but then they don't mop their floors. They use like a wet rag to clean everything. Then on top of that, most people here don't own a mop, and on top of that, they don't wash their hands. Like, so you keep the floor clean visually, but you have surfaces dirty because you're not cleaning your hands. And these people cook food for you. I worked with them. They would take out the trash. There were rats at the dumpster. They would take out trash, come back in, and start making salad. I do not see how more people don't get sick here. I guess their immune system is built the fuck up because they're constantly being exposed to germs. But now I see why kids, when I was working, were always sick. People are constantly getting sick. See, kids, they don't know you better. They're crawling around the floor, playing on the playground, putting their hands in their mouth, their fingers in their eyes, and up their nose, and digging in their booty and everything. So it's like, now it all makes sense. But yeah, and they're gonna get mad. They're gonna gaslight me for saying this. Like, oh, that's not true. We're at 30 minutes. Girl, fuck it. We going for an hour. Oh, that's not true. Like, we don't do that. Yes, y'all do. I've lived with you all. I've worked with you all. I'm married to you all. And look, I ain't gonna tell on my husband, but I'm just gonna keep it real. Despite his job, he has some dirty tendencies that I had to correct and be like, look, I'm sorry, my nigga, but we wash our hands around here. You're gonna want, I don't give a fuck. You touch this, and this is dirty too. Clean them hands, bitch. Sorry. Expressway. But love Japan, but I don't love everything about it, and that's okay. Likewise, you all like my country. They love our actors, love our music, but they can write a whole thread on Twitter about what they don't like about the US, and many of them have never even been there. So me, having lived in your country for several years, went to school, worked here, dated, lived across several different cities, things that they can't even say when they come to my country. Because see, when they come to the US, they normally live in one city, they stay for no more than 1 to 2 years, and then they come back and write whole books and pretend to be experts. My ass been here for damn near 10 years. So I'd like to say I'm maybe a little bit credible to speak on this. So anyway, I'm done, you guys. Love Japan, but yeah, it just amazed me how it's like their mindset is, if I like this country, I have to love everything about it. And if I do love stuff about here, I have to like it more than my country. No, I like both countries differently. I like America and I like Japan. They're very different places to live. Thus, there's things that I like about America differently than I like about Japan. I admire different aspects of different things. That's okay. I can like some things and hate some things about Japan without having to completely hate Japan. Likewise, you can do the same with the US. I should also add, quality of life sucks as an American here. Like, you're limited with where you can go, what you can do. Your salary sucks. So like, there's nothing here that makes life better overall. Like, if you're young and just having fun, sure. If you're that much of a weeboo that you're blind, that you don't see the problems here, sure. But one day I feel like you wake up and you realize Japan is overrated. It really is. And really, like I said before, living in Japan made me like my country more. I know there's problems in the US, and I will tell you right now, I'm going back there temporarily soon, and you will see me make videos comparing and complaining and talking about America. But I'm going to keep it real with you. Overall, I prefer most things about life in America, including entertainment, shopping, and dining. Japan cannot match America with that. They can't. There's good places to go here, but are they better than in America? No. And I can only think of a handful of places that might be. I can't even go to all the good places to go in America because there's too many of them. I could definitely hit all of the good spots here in Japan if I were to dedicate 1 to 2 years of just doing that. So, I'm all for adventure and fun, which is the reason why I'm here right now. And so I'm not going to pretend like I'm being held here against my will like how most foreigners do. Pretend like, oh, I'm only here because I'm married or my child is Japanese. Right, you chose a Japanese partner. You chose to have a Japanese baby. And guess what? Japan is not, you're not married to some Iranian or some shit. You and your spouse and your baby can come to the US with no problems whatsoever. America loves the Japanese. You will definitely get approved for your visa. Stop with that bullshit. You can live your life in America too. You're choosing to live here in Japan. And that's fine. But be honest. Stop lying and gaslighting people. Pretending like, oh, we're not gaslighting. You know what I mean? Like, falsely explaining your reasoning for being here. Stand 10 toes down on that hoe. I'm here because I like Japan. I am too. I ain't got a lot of y'all say, I'm only in Japan because my husband and my half Japanese. No, I'm here because I like living here. And you want to know what? I'm going to leave temporarily. My black ass going to come right back. I still like this country. I just have the ability to talk about things that I also don't like. I can like Japan and still criticize and critique it. Your parents can love you and tell you, hey, you're dumb as fuck. Fix this shit. You got problem number 5 wrong. Fix that before you turn it into your teacher. Okay, that's what I'm doing here. Look, love you, Japan, but there's shit y'all need to work on. Love America. There's shit it needs to work on. If we can understand that America has issues, why can't we understand that Japan does? If we can understand that America doesn't make all of their food better than other countries, why can't we understand that Japan doesn't either? Because look, I don't even like Italian food, but their Italian food here is so bad, I actually feel like I like Italian food after living in Japan. I've had the absolute worst Italian food of my life living here. They even fucked up American pizza. The Chicago pizza restaurants here have like 2 and 3 star ratings, and on average a 1-star rating from the average person. It's just a few 5 stars holding them up. They fuck up everything they touch outside of their own food, and even with their own food, they fuck up some of that too. So, like I said, I mean, you can love Japan, but and it goes beyond just food. I'm just talking about food in particular. But yes, like they're so shocked. You don't like this, and then not to mention again the whole pat themselves on the back. Yeah, Japanese is so hard to learn, right? No, it's not. People are not judged on their language ability based off of their ability to write, and typically not even read. People say that you're fluent or not fluent based on your ability to speak. Speaking Japanese is not hard. Finding opportunity to speak it is, though, because most people want to speak to you in English. And again, the people that do want to use Japanese with you, they're only going to talk to you for 2.5 seconds. Like you're dealing with them interacting at immigration, going shopping at a store, something like that, and that's pretty much it. The people in your personal life, they want to use English with you. Now, granted, some people don't, but most do. So if your job is English only, your friends only want to use English with you, your partner only uses English with you, where the fuck do you learn how to speak Japanese? And then they get mad at you for only being able to speak English. It's like, y'all don't do this either. They will literally go to Italy and come back after 10 years and only can speak English. So, very hypocritical. Like, you would think these bitches are trilingual here, the way that they treat foreigners that don't speak Japanese. Not to mention that for them, they have the advantage. Italian uses the same Roman letters that English does, and they already know Roman letters, so that's a huge advantage right there. For Americans that want to learn Japanese, we have to learn how to just read their language, and you'll never learn how to read it in your learning stage, even once you get the JLPT N1. From N5 to N4, you are learning how to read basic kanji and hiragana katakana. They get to skip all of that shit when they're learning English. They don't need to learn how to read shit. All they need to learn how to do is pronounce phonics. They need to learn the phonetic pronunciation of English words. That's it. They don't have to do all that type of crap. And because of that, even if they don't understand what they're reading, they can read English just from learning phonics. We can't do that with Japanese. Sure, hiragana, katakana, you can read that phonetically even if you don't understand what the fuck you're reading. But when you're reading real pieces of adult work, whether it be signage or a book, a novel, whatever, it's not going to be a full hiragana, katakana book unless you're reading a children's book. Thus, you cannot understand what the fuck you're looking at. Even if you've been studying Japanese for 1, 2, or 3 years, you are not going to be able to understand each kanji character. You can guess, but you're not going to be right. Look, my husband's name is written in kanji. He's Japanese. And even with his name, people guess what his name is, but they don't know because his name can actually have 2 to 3 different, spelling, 2 to 3 different readings. Even though it is spelled one way, his name, if you were to look at his name, there's no way you would think that's his name by what the kanji characters are. However, if you're experienced with kanji, like a lot of native Japanese people are, you know that it's either going to be this name or one of these 2 names. And most of the time people guess it right, but other times they're wrong, which is the reason why even for Japanese people, when you're filling out your name, they ask you to phonetically write out your name so they know how to pronounce it, because just having the kanji is oftentimes not enough. Same thing with last names. It's not just a first name thing. Depending on the last name, the pronunciation and spelling can be different. For example, some people have the old spelling of a name. Some people have more modern spelling of the name. So they might now spell the name with the S, but back in the day it used to be spelled with a Z. The more you know. So I just learned this recently. But I'm done, you guys. I'm done. Love Japan. Don't love everything about here. And sorry, Sachiko and Taro, but just like how you don't love everything. Like, if I were to take them to America and take them to, like, I don't know, some burger restaurant and have them try everything on the menu, they're not gonna like everything they eat. Now, granted, they probably will because our food is pretty damn good. But there's gonna be something at some restaurants they don't like and find disgusting. And I can understand that. I don't like everything in America either, but their brains can't comprehend that. It's like the only thing that's acceptable for us to dislike, we could say that we don't like raw fish, but like beyond that, they want us to say that their food is so much better and so delicious and they're so much nicer and so much cleaner and anime is so wonderful. We have cartoons too. We also have good books written for children. We also have good comic books. There's a reason why Marvel and DC makes way more money than any of their animes. I know weeboos are going to be punching the couch right now and biting pillows from me saying that. But I said what the fuck I said. Our cartoons are better. Sorry. Love anime. Love anime. But I'm also going to be honest with you. There's a reason why, even when it's put in with subtitles, we don't prefer it over our own. I get it, the weeaboo community is, angry as fuck and start the otakus. But realistically, if you were to ask me, would I rather have Sailor Moon, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, Vampire Knight, Nana, all of those shows over the classics that I grew up on with Courage the Cowardly Dog, Dexter's Laboratory, Johnny Bravo? No, I'm sorry. I would much rather have Cartoon Network's lineup than have any anime that you could think of. I prefer our cartoons. They're funny, they're lighthearted, even the deeper ones. I prefer them. They're better. And fuck my opinion, they make more money. That speaks for itself. A big part of why anime even makes the money that it does is because Americans buy that shit. You take our dollars out of this, and they're not making nearly as much money. Which is the reason why they bother to translate stuff into English in the first place. Because trust me, as prideful as the Japanese are, they would rather not translate their work. There's some manga creators that refuse to translate their shit into English. I wonder why. Prejudice much? Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it's like, no, your language isn't difficult. It's actually kind of easy to learn because they don't have as many words to express what they're trying to say like how we do in English. There are not a million ways to say something's ugly, bad, stinky, etc. There's like 3 to 5 different words, like for adjectives, to express things. Then on top of that, they don't use tons of little particles and whatnot. Sentences are very direct. If you were to break down most Japanese sentences into English, it becomes literally verb, noun, particle. Like that's it. An a particle. For example, I can't even think of an example to you guys right now. You don't express, oh, like I really love okonomiyaki. It's so good. It melts in your mouth. It's a very simple, like, I like okonomiyaki. You're not going to like go on and say, oh, I love this so much. My friend, they don't talk like that. Same thing for like describing someone's looks. It's either cute. You're very cute. Beautiful. You're very beautiful. Like, there's not like, oh my gosh, you're the most beautiful person I've ever laid my eyes on, and I didn't know if and sure they can say this stuff, and they sometimes do, but it's not normal. When you're having a normal conversation, even reading something in Japanese, there's not a lot of filler conversation. It's straight to the point. We don't talk like that in English. We can write, like, use Google Translate, write a whole fucking book, and look at what they give you back in Japanese. Like, it gives you like the translation of what you just said. Almost always it will be way shorter. It's going to condense what you said because that's how they talk. And it's not a bad thing. I'm just explaining because of this, it actually makes it easier to learn. For example, I cannot say chicken like. But in Japanese, chicken like actually makes sense. I can say chicken like. That's correct grammar in Japanese. I don't have to even say I like chicken. I can just say chicken like. That's my sentence. So again, like, these shaving off of just a couple of words makes it so much easier to be able to speak. The problem is being able to read and write because you have very limited opportunity, and also it serves no purpose. How often are you going to be asked to write something? Now, reading is important, don't get me wrong, but even then, things that are of importance is going to be announced to you, or it's going to be written in English as well, or broken down into hiragana, katakana. I'm not encouraging ignorance. I'm just explaining that they think their language is so hard when it's really not. English remains harder. It's more impressive to know English. However, I'm a Nepo baby in the English community due to slavery, and so English is my first language. And with that said, I can speak English natively because I was born into it. But I also understand that while I do speak it natively, this is actually a lot harder. I can't even explain to you all the rules that exist in English. I don't even know all the rules. I mispronounce stuff every once in a while. So, anyway, yes, like, even as a native English speaker, I can't tell you what every word means. It's impossible. So, just because I am a native speaker doesn't mean that I cannot also judge my own language. I recognize, no, actually, my language is harder than yours. We have rules that make no... Like, think about it. Why the fuck is pneumonia spelled that way? like, there's a whole laundry list of words like that, too. I saw a video... Excuse me, you guys. I saw a video the other day that was talking about, like, why do we pronounce EAR differently depending on what word it's for? Like, for example, bear. But then, ear. And then it was something else they gave an example of too. And so it's like, it's different pronunciations depending on what letter you put in front of or behind. Like, this is weird shit. Japanese does not have that. There's probably some one-off example of that, but you know what I mean. Generally speaking, once you learn phonics in Japanese, that is legitimately how every word is pronounced. English doesn't work that way. Like, it's even with names. Japanese keeps the same phonetic pronunciations with names. If you know how to write somebody's name in katakana or hiragana, you know how to pronounce it. English doesn't work that way. If you know my name in English, you're going to be in for a surprise when you figure out, oh, actually, this letter is silent. Oh, actually, this letter isn't silent, but you pronounce it like this. What? It says, how does a O get pronounced like an E or a Y? The fuck? So, it's confusing. So anyway, I'm done. Sorry, Japan, but you're not as special as you guys think you are, and your country has flaws, and I don't blame you. You've been brainwashed. They've been taught to not think for themselves. They've been taught to not challenge or question anything. It's very funny because they have a very red ribbon army Chinese type mentality, and they don't even realize it. They've been that brainwashed. They don't understand that they're not thinking for themselves. They think they are thinking for themselves, and they get offended when you challenge them on that. And it's like, has it ever crossed your mind, why do you do this and not that? Well, this is Japan. That's a bad argument. That's a sign that you've lost the argument. No, ask yourself this. Why are you removing your shoes but not washing your hands? Crickets. What Americans go to the gym but they're fat? I didn't know that was all Americans. Most Americans that are going to the gym, their goal is to lose weight. And that's not what we're talking about right now. I'm asking you, why, if y'all care so much about keeping the floors clean, y'all don't bother to keep surfaces clean? Most items that go on the floor will never interact with your mouth. But most items that you touch with your hands can or will directly either go into your mouth or something will touch it and then go into your mouth. Thus, you are cross-contaminating surfaces. Not to mention, people commonly touch their eyes, their nose, and their mouth throughout the day. Just rubbing it, removing crust, blowing your nose, licking your fingers, etc. So if you're not cleaning your hands after going to the bathroom or cleaning, blowing your nose or whatever, then guess what? Your nasty germs are now going into somebody else's mouth and causing them to get sick. The fact that they have no hot water in public and nobody talks about this at all, it's excused. They tricked you all into believing that it's better to not have trash cans. They tricked you into believing that you should bring your own towel for the environment. On damn well they don't give a fuck about the environment. And it's like, at what point did we stop lying to them? It's like, they get a pass for everything. They get to be racist, pass. Dirty, pass. No hot water, pass. Like, no matter what they do, there's an excuse. They're rude to you. Oh, Sachiko's having a bad day. Turtle is stressed out from his 50-hour... Do you know that Americans work more hours per week than Japanese people? I was shocked when I learned that. We work more than they do. But we don't have the stereotype of being overworkers. In fact, we have the stereotype of being lazy and relaxed with our work. I didn't know that. I was shocked when I learned. In fact, let me tell you another little secret that I learned. I was surprised to learn there's less educated people in Japan than in the U.S. Maybe I need to go back to America because I was too young back then. Or maybe it's because I'm black and the people in our communities don't have no damn education. But the people that I met in America, I'm gonna be honest, personal experience, are uneducated. But when I look at the statistics, actually, there's a higher percentage of Americans with a bachelor's degree or higher than there are Japanese people. That surprised me. And I'm talking about percentage based on population. We're not talking about overall degrees, because that would be unfair. America has double the population. I'm saying based on the percentage of people. There are more Americans with a college education than Japanese people. And I'm going to be honest, most Japanese people that I interact, they seem to have a degree. So I don't know, but I'm just telling you what I read statistically. And a lot of people have all these stereotypes and mindsets, try to make them look like they're these hard workers and these good people, whatever. But it's like, if you actually look at the raw data, that's not true. So, the more you know. I'm done. I'm busy. I need to get to work. And not work as in my job, but I need to clean. And I have no time. He will be back. Oh, I do have time. 7, 8, 9. I have about 3 hours. But, alright, I'm done, you guys. So, feel free to bitch in the comment section. And again, hear me out. I do love Japan. I really do. And I like Japanese food. I like Japanese people overall. But I'm just saying, I don't love everything about your country. And to be honest, I find it a turn off when they try to force me to compliment their country. Imagine me doing that as an American. Like, just think to yourself, if every time that I met a foreigner, why did you come to America? What do you love about the U.S.? It's because we're richer and better than you, right? That's literally what they do to you. And they don't get called out for it. It's just seen as, oh, they're so friendly, they're so polite, they care about why I came here. They're literally making mental note, okay, fifth American to tell me today that Japan is indeed better than the U.S. It's like, they get some sort of like boner off of that from hearing you praise their country. So whatever. I'll give them props. The Japanese are very nationalistic, not in a racist way per se, even though sometimes they are in that way too, but in the sense that they love their country. And I do wish that Americans had more love for their country overall and represented our country well. Because the amount of you all that are willing to agree with these Nigerians and whatnot inside comment section, Jamaicans talking shit about the U.S. blows my mind. They'll talk crap about your country, but God forbid you say shit about theirs. Then again, they feel it's like, bitch, you chose to live in the U.S. because you don't like your country either. So, and like, even the ones that become doctors and lawyers and whatnot, it's like, why don't you do that in your country? Crickets. Right. So if your country's so great, take your skills back there. But they don't want to do that. They want to stay in the U.S., which is cool. So if you want to do that, then shut the fuck up then. But see, we can't say that. So if we can't say that, then how can y'all say that? And I'm not talking about the Africans or Caribbean people at this point. Now I'm putting it back on the Japanese. If we can't say that, why do y'all get to say that? We're both first world countries. Like, you can't use the same comparison with, Nigeria and Jamaica but whatnot, where we're talking about developing countries. We are now talking about two first world countries. So why can y'all say that but we can't as Americans? Because it's fair playing ground. We're both first world. And for Japan to be so small, for them to be the third largest GDP, whatever, that says a lot. That says a lot. They're like less than half of what the U.S. is. That says a lot. So, I'm done, you guys. Leave your 2 cents down below. Let's argue. Let's bitch. Let's fight. Again, these are my feelings, my thoughts. You're free to have whatever the fuck your own are. But remember, this is my journal and my feelings. So, it's not really up for debate. But, sure, I understand that not everybody feels the way I do. Some people do prefer Japanese food over American food. And that's fine. But I'm telling you that I'm not one of those kiss asses that are going to say that. Do I like Japanese food? Yes. There are things that y'all see my fat ass chowing down on this food. Like, they have good food here. Don't get me wrong. But better than America? I don't know about that. So, anyway, I'm done. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Please consider supporting me on Patreon if you enjoy content like this. You'll get access to over 150 videos instantly upon signing up. The links for that are in the description box down below. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Comic95. Again, the link for that is in the description box down below. What else? My brain is like mush right now. I have so much on my mind right now. But yeah, check out my channel's homepage. I have videos on working, studying, dating, and living here in Japan. And that is all for now. So thank you so much for listening and thank you for watching. And I hope you'll watch another video. Bye.